Oh, did you get so thick? You just so thick. If the royals were racist, they would have let you know that you were not welcome before a ring was placed on your finger. Shut up, girl, now. You know you perpetrating. Hi, YouTubers. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well today. Also, I wanted to say Piers Morgan has been nominated for the National Television Award, and I want to encourage everyone to go out and vote for him because I think that would be a great thing, because we know Meghan Markle is absolutely livid that he got off on that whole controversy surrounding him not believing her, and I think he deserves it. It takes guts to do what he's done, and if anybody deserves this award, it is certainly Piers Morgan. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below to head on out there and vote for him. And I think it would be a great thing, a great ending to all of this craziness. And the other thing about that, someone had brought to my attention that it looks like there are some suspicious activities going on, even around the complaints that were submitted against Piers Morgan. Apparently, it looks like the Sugars were creating accounts and making all of these complaints against Piers Morgan. And I'll read to you what someone wrote in my comments. I thought it was very interesting. Much was made about the high number of complaints about Piers's behavior, but the number was very high. There is a deep suspicion that there was a deliberate campaign organized by the Sugars, with a high number coming from overseas watching ITV programming early in the morning UK time. No, you cannot have that many people watching anything that early in the morning over in the UK unless Princess Diana is getting married, because that's what I know, my experience. And even with Sharon Osbourne, I think it's outrageous that she lost her job too. This is the problem that Meghan Markle has caused, and it's a big issue because she's dredging up things that have major consequences for a lot of people. And the only one that seems to benefit from this whole racist issue is someone who doesn't even deserve to use racism as a weapon, because there's no way that people are being racist to her. But all the consequences that happen surrounding her using racism are real. These are real issues people are having. Losing their jobs, called out as racist, families destroyed, distraught. It really is not okay. And when people want to ignore it, like, oh, leave them alone, whatever. No, you cannot. Someone like this has to be stopped. They cannot keep going on like this. So I think a way to put an end to all of this, let's get Piers the award, because I think he rightfully deserves it. I hope you guys enjoyed my last video where I was talking about the Hollywood and the black and the white of Hollywood. It really is an interesting dynamic, and I loved hearing your comments about appreciating me talking about that, because I think there are a lot of things that just are not commonly talked about. These are the things that are talked about in those intimate circles with people that you know, but they're usually not things that are talked about openly as conversation pieces. It's just kind of like one of those cultural things, and I think it gives some better insight into the whole issue around color and how the dynamic of someone's skin color makes a difference. And it really taught me a lot just speaking about it. And one of the things that came to mind was the idea of colorism. Someone had mentioned in my comment section about colorism, and I thought, yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about. The definition of colorism: prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, colorism. It really helped me to understand deeper the things that Meghan Markle was saying about the royal family being racist towards her, which is hogwash. It's not true. It's not true. The article that I'm talking about comes from Time magazine, and it's called The Difference Between Racism and Colorism. Skin color matters because we are a visual species and we respond to one another based on the way we physically present. Because you're going to walk up to someone and you can see whether or not they are black or white. That's an obvious thing, just going up to them and looking at the color of their skin. The race-based prejudices human beings have attached to certain skin colors. Skin color becomes a loaded signifier of identity and value. In the U.S. in particular, where we have an extremely diverse population, race still matters, but color matters too. This is how I know. She did not experience racism because the color of your skin matters. The discussion has to get more nuanced and categories beyond black and white must be introduced. So in the meantime, skin color will continue to serve as the most obvious how a person will be evaluated and judged. Now, in this country, because of the deeply entrenched racism, we already know that dark skin is demonized and light skin wins the prize. We know this to be the case. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I know people personally who within the black race will call out another black person that has dark skin. Just like say something about it. As if, you know, you the ugly one because you black. You know, like it's that emboldened. It's that obvious in the young girls who have identified, or the young girls that I've worked with that have the dark skin don't like their dark skin. They're not looked at favorably. And it's a real bad self-esteem issue when society marks you as ugly because of the darkness of your skin. Imagine that. Imagine a young girl. And there's a video, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's a video of a young black dark-skinned girl getting her hair done. And she's looking at herself in the mirror and while her hair is being done. And this young girl looked at herself in the mirror and she said, "I'm ugly." And it was so devastating to hear that little girl say that. And you know, she said that because there is some trauma behind that. Hearing people talk about dark skin. Whenever you put a white doll and a black doll in front of a dark-skinned black child, they're almost always going to choose the white doll because that is what they have internalized as beautiful. They never want the black doll. And this is how deep this issue goes. And this is why it is so appalling to me that Meghan Markle uses this racism issue to benefit herself, because she is not a victim of racism. She's not a victim of it. And if she were really a victim of it, like she claims that she has been, she'd be used to that behavior. She'd be used to people behaving a certain way because, hey, people are just racist towards you. That's just how things are. You deal with it, you move on. And if you've never experienced something before, you're going to make a big deal out of it. And you're going to make a big deal out of it so much that you might just be grasping for straws at something that's not really there because you want people to respond in a certain way towards you. The privilege of light skin over dark skin is at the root of all known ill, and it's called colorism. Light skin preference had been common practice in the black community for generations, but Walker gave it a name and marked it as an evil that must be stopped in order for African Americans to progress as a people. And I agree with that totally, because if we as black people can't overcome our own prejudices about our color of our skin, how do we expect white people to not be racist towards us when we're racist against each other? If you're a black person, let me just give you an example. If you're a black person that has some color to you, like people look at you and there is no doubt you black. Yeah, you black. Okay, if it's like that, the one drop thing, like I said, like some people didn't even understand how that works, but I'm telling you, one drop and you black, and that's only because black is a dominant color, and you put a little bit drop of that and we're going to get the colors that's going to start being affected. That's why they have that one drop rule. But anyway, if you have that, if people look at you and there's no doubt that you are a black person, they immediately can do things to discriminate against you because there's no question. And I like giving up my examples because I have a lot of them in my toolbox of examples of being racist. So there's another situation where my sister and I were getting out of our mom's car and we're getting ready to walk into this house. And I know who the kids are. They went to my high school. And as they drove by our house, they yelled the N-word. N-word! They're laughing and yelling and just completely driving on up the street in their car. And I'm just looking at them like, y'all so silly. Like, really? You gonna do that? Like, they thought that was funny. So for me, hearing that, that's like, okay, and what? Imagine if someone that looked like Meghan Markle, someone said that to her in her face. How is she going to react? She going to be like, what? How dare you? I'm not that. Look at me. I don't look like a black person. Like, she's going to be really exaggerated and appalled that someone would even say that. Like, what? Huh? I'm not like black. I don't look black. Like, I can pass for white. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not. She's going to completely be like baffled by it. She's going to over exaggerate in her reaction to it because that is so absurd. It's so crazy that something could be said to me, of all people. And this is why when she says people were racist towards her, it's like, no, they ain't. Because look at how you're reacting. Look at how you're reacting. So there's two ways to put it. Either you're reacting because someone was really racist towards you, or you got a bad attitude, a bad behavior, way of doing things, and you just grabbing for straws. Like, well, I'm going to just say they racist. And that's what I think happened. She knew that she had something that she could use as a weapon, and she wanted to use it. It was like finding money in your pocket that you didn't know you had. Just like, you know, aren't you surprised when you find money that you didn't think you had in your purse or in your pocket, and you find like, okay, I'm gonna go, what am I gonna buy? What am I gonna do? And that's what she did. She found that race card. She was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. And that's what happened. So just in her whole demeanor and how she's reacting to it, just tells you that she is in an awkward position because she is reacting in a way that is not how a typical person would react if they were really someone was racist against them. Like, you wouldn't behave like that. First of all, you'd be like, well, I'm used to that. I'm just gonna keep it moving. I'm used to it. I'm used to people treating me like this. And you just kind of keep doing what you've been doing because it's like, you know, I'm not gonna get bothered by that. This is just like gonna rub off on me. And that's exactly what I think has happened here with her. She completely did not have anyone treat her in such a way. Because this is another way you can tell. this were the case with the royal family, wouldn't it have come out when they were dating? Wouldn't it have been really obvious to her in the beginning that, ooh, y'all racist. I don't like y'all talk to me. I don't like how you guys react to the things that I'm doing. I can tell I'm not wanted here. But that's not what happened. She was welcomed. She felt loved, so much so that she was like, okay, we're going to get married. Why would you marry into a racist family on purpose? Why would you put yourself in a situation where you know your life is going to be complete misery? There would have been warning signs. Dozens of research studies have shown that skin tone and other racial features play powerful roles in who gets ahead and who does not. These factors regularly determine who gets hired and who gets convicted and who gets elected. In the U.S., it has been repeatedly proven that skin tone plays a role in who gets ahead and who does not. In the U.S., racism is a much bigger problem and issue. She's saying this over in England. Like, they don't have the issues with race like we do in America. Old Miss Scobie's now seeing people were racist against him. Like, everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon, and you at the highest part of the totem pole where your light skin is already a privilege for you. But you want to try to go ahead and snag the issue of how people with dark skin are treated and use it to make for your advantage. When people are really hurting from racism. Because they can't do anything about the way they look. They can't. People are really traumatized because of how people treat darker skin. And you sitting up here with the whitest skin of them all and gonna act like you were treated poorly. Get out of here. I ain't listening to you. In 2013, researchers Lance Hannon, Robert DeFina, and Sarah Brooke found that black female students with dark skin were 3 times more likely to be suspended at school than their light-skinned African American counterparts. It's suffice to say that one's health, wealth, and opportunity for success in this country will be impacted by the color of one's skin, sometimes irrespective of one's racial background. Even darker-hued white people have different experiences than lighter-hued Caucasian counterparts when it comes to access and resources. Skin colors can vary in microscopic gradients or in obvious shades of difference. But too often, the pervasiveness of a color hierarchy in the outside world seeps into the household and becomes part of the implicit and explicit teachings of parenting. Speaking of which, what is Meghan Markle teaching her children? Behaving like this, making this race an issue right now. Are her children going to grow up one day feeling like they can play the race card to their advantage? Because look what they did to my mama. My mama was treated like really poorly by those racist royals. And now they're doing it to me. Like, what does it say? It really does not look good. And black people should be outraged. Especially dark-skinned people should be outraged at what Meghan Markle is doing. Because her light skin is to her advantage in every way. In every way. And we know her father has said that she did not experience racism growing up. People look at her and don't even know that she's black. So how can she have experienced the racism that she is talking about? How can it be? It's not true. She's weaponizing race. She's spitting in the face of black, dark-skinned people who experience real racism. She's essentially using something that does not belong to her. It does not belong to her to say that anyone is racist towards you because you have privilege of your light skin. Research has shown us that people with light skin are treated better. But you're going to sit here and weaponize race. You're going to bring up something that we have been working on for years in America. You're going to bring your butt from the UK to America where racism is way worse and say, you thriving, you living a dream. I think Oprah especially, because Oprah knows what real racism is. You cannot tell me that Oprah was sitting across from Meghan Markle in that interview, and when Meghan said that she was treated poorly against the royals treated her poorly, you cannot tell me that Oprah looked at her and really thought she experienced racism. Oprah had to be looking at her like, girl, no you didn't. Because I know what real racism is. We have heard the stories that have happened to Oprah. Essentially, it's a slap in Oprah Winfrey's face for what Meghan did. Really? And if this is the case for her, then her dark-skinned black mama needs to come out and vouch for her, how the royals treated her. Because it can only really be taken seriously if her mother, who looks black, says something. When you look white and you say people treated you poorly because you got a drop of black, that don't even make sense. It doesn't make sense because you don't even have the hue, the tone, the color of someone who represents black. You don't even wear your hair ethnically. You don't do anything to make it look like you got any ethnicity. So how are you possibly experiencing racism? They wanted the royal family to come out and say something. The royal family didn't come out and say anything because nothing was going on. Nothing was happening. They are trying to create a problem. They need a boogeyman. That was the only way they were going to get out of that country. The only way they were going to get out was to have a good, valid reason. And you talk race and people looking, they're like, what? What? That's why when Oprah heard it, she was like, hold up. Wait a minute. What? What'd you say? That's why it was a big deal when Oprah said that. Because they knew they could take something like race and blow it up with a grenade. Like, boom. The race card. She found $1 in her pocket. We're going to use race.